Welcome to Dr. Sheryl's PodCouch, where I talk about all things mental health. Today, I'm excited to be my own guest. I am going to answer some questions that I get asked frequently, and I am going to really focus today on social media and keeping kids safe online. So, I have been very interested in digital citizenship for kids for a while now and looked at different programs from Common Sense Media to Google's Be Internet Awesome program to Microsoft's program. And they all have great value. So I will say that I looked through people's questions, and it's social media is always pretty much top of the list. And I'm going to answer some things that people just ask me, and we're going to keep it short and simple today, but hopefully this is going to be really helpful for you. So a couple of things to think about when it comes to social media is, or not just social media, but actually just being safe online is first and foremost, when you're starting off, so your kid is, it's getting younger and younger, the ages, but your kid is maybe 9 or 10 years old, and they now are online. They need to understand the difference between what is private information and what is personal information. So that's a starting point. So private information are things like your date of birth, your address, your first and last name. That's private. And what I say to kids is private means totally private. You don't give out that information ever unless you go to your parent and they say it's okay. Then there's personal information. That might be, are you a boy or a girl? What are your interests? Even just what's your favorite color. So that's personal information. It's things that are just unique to yourself, but probably safer to share online. And I just tell kids, if you're confused about that, ask somebody. And also starting off, they need to know how to have secure passwords. And so there are fun ways that I've seen doing this with kids. Sometimes you can get building blocks out and roll them like dice and be able to say things like, okay, it said, there's letters and there's numbers and there's symbols. So these are all things that parents need to really repeatedly model for their kids, that when you're online, these are important things to remember, because they take your phones, right, and they play games, but there's pop-ups on games, and before you know it, they're off to another direction. So when they were playing, let's say, Candy Crush, all of a sudden 5 minutes later they can be playing something else. You would never know that. So you need to tell them, when I've told you can be on a certain site, maybe YouTube Kids, or you can be on this certain app, there are going to be pop-ups or commercials. You may not click on those unless you ask for permission, and explain to them why. They might not be age appropriate. They might put a bug on our computer. They need to know those things if they're going to be online. And it's a good reminder for a parent to say, is my kid ready? If you feel ready and comfortable to have these conversations with them, then they're ready. And if you think, well, I don't want to make them nervous, I don't want to scare them by saying, well, why can't I? Kids, the most common question is, why can't, this is my friend on this video game, why can't I start chatting with them off the video game? You have to talk to them about, you can be anybody online. That could be an online predator. And so those are kind of conversations that if you're comfortable having with your kid, then maybe they're ready. And if not, that's that. So the other things that come up, or the way that I taught at least one class, and I thought it was effective for the younger kids, is I said things like, imagine that we are going on a trip and we're in an airport and we don't know where we're going. Would you, if mom and dad were turning left in this airport that we've never been in, would you go right? And the kids were like, no, we would stay. And so I say, that's what it's like being online. Going online is the ability to explore the whole world, but you need to stay on track, because there are all these different places that you can go. And it can be dangerous sometimes. So if you want to go different places, sometimes that's possible. You need to ask an adult. So that's the way I intro online safety to the younger kids. And I would say, when the kids are older and they're experienced and they have had these, negative messages come up, or they've been involved, they've been the victim of cyberbullying, or they're all sorts of entangled in social media and fake Instagram accounts. So now I'm talking more like the older middle school and high school age kids. I think one of the things that comes up for me as probably a top question is, okay, my kid is 14 years old. They've been online for about, 3 or 4 years, and I have not set great boundaries and limits. And now I want to, because now I actually really see it, right? Because initially when your kid's on there, you're like, all right, this is going well. This is kind of great too, because they're entertained and now I can get stuff done. And before you know it, sometimes time can get away from you and you're not as on top of them. So there will come a point in time when they're teenagers, like they should, they'll make a mistake, they'll break a rule. So I like to really remind parents that it doesn't matter how old your teenager is. If you decided you're going to change the rules, that's okay to say that. I think that applies to lots of parts of parenting, but you really need to be comfortable saying, yes, I know that I've allowed you to have a phone in your room, for your alarm clock, because that's what all teenagers say. I need my phone as my alarm clock. But now I'm not comfortable with it, because my analogy with the whole phone as the alarm clock in the room for a teenager is that is truly like leaving a bowl of their favorite candy filled to the rim in abundance next to their bed and saying, don't have a single M&M. Don't grab a single piece of this candy the whole night. Okay, good night. It's too difficult. They are addicted, just like they're sugar addicted. They're technology addicted. I'd say the majority of teenagers truly show addictive behaviors toward their phones and toward technology. So you're setting your kid up for failure to do that. So you can say that as a parent. Yep, you're right. I allowed you to do that last year. And whether they have or haven't broken the rules, I've really decided I think it's more responsible to just get you a good old-fashioned alarm clock or I get up early, so I'll put it in your room early in the morning. However, everyone's going to have their way of dealing with it and going that route. And I want to encourage parents that it's never too late to be the parent, and you can always change your mind, and you can say things like that was a mistake, or I have, done some research, or I understand this more, and now this is what I want to do, and just have that confidence to do that. So I hope that this has been helpful. I wanted to do a little mini pump up of social media, especially as kids are getting older. As every couple of months we're learning more and more about the detrimental effects of having social media and technology, and just the dilemma that parents have to go through now with kids even having to do more homework online, and they have to get their assignments. And so I'd say every school year that happens, you're going to feel like you can't avoid technology in your life. I know for me personally, my daughter's going into middle school and she now has a Chromebook. This is totally new and she is so excited about it, but there are already limits. So I'm using the parental controls. They are working very well. I will say I'm using Google's Family Link. I know that there are many others, but think about things like the apps that allow Wi-Fi to be turned off at certain times. Think about making sure your kids know that you are looking through their phone, you're looking through their web browser histories, and that you are the parent and you say at 9 o'clock that laptop gets shut or that the phone gets taken out of their room. So parenting is, I think this is brand new for us. We have absolutely no models for this, but parenting around technology is just something that we have to be aware of as a parent today, and be very, very strong about it. So I hope this has been encouraging. I try not to be fearful of technology because it is here to stay. It's our reality and it's all our kids know. And I think that our job is to help kids be set up for success with technology. So thank you so much for listening today, and I will look forward to more of your questions.